Namaste. So, welcome to this live session on organization development and change in 21st century. I'm receiving some of the queries. I have also received few before the session. So, I would like to give some more time if some more queries are on the way. We will talk about something very pertinent and important from the OD point of view. We all know that something uh, unheard of, something unprecedented has happened in last 1 year. We have gone through a major crisis, which is because of this COVID-19. It's a new virus. That's why scientists have called this novel COVID virus. And because of that, we see major disruption in organizational life, in personal lives, as well as in the social lives. So I thought this is an opportunity for for all of us who are interested in organization development, who are interested in the field of organization development, to look at what OD can offer and how the field of OD can be helpful in designing some of the interventions, some of the relevant interventions which can be of the OD nature and can be useful for the organizations and individuals. So for a few minutes I will be sharing some of these things. Meanwhile, some more queries will come and I will take those queries one by one. So first thing is we need to understand that may I request NPTEL team to help me in changing the slides. Can you help me in changing the slides on the system? Yeah. So in 2020 we have endured a global pandemic. There is a massive economic crisis and a widespread social unrest as well. We have seen the pictures of thousands of laborers just walking on the feet to reach to their native places from the metropolitan cities. These are the images probably we can never forget in our lifetime. So this was a major socio-economic crisis as well, and lack of work boundaries. And we all who are in the white collar jobs, many of us are in the white collar jobs who are required to work on their systems, being in the office. We also have gone through a major stress because of the lack of boundaries we experienced in our work time and uh, in our way of delivery of our KRAs about the organization, KRAs about our business or about our work. So because of these things, a lot of transitions were required, and we have also seen a major changes and how organizations are responding to those. Organizations have responded to these things with the technological innovations. Many of the organizations could quickly change their business models, quickly customize their offerings, or started communicating more extensively on the online platform. So they initiated major technological innovations. In some of the organizations, we have seen business model disruption. So school is the biggest example. All schooling, all the major schooling activities has shifted, or educational activity shifted mostly to the online mode. And earlier we never thought that tests can be conducted, case analysis could be conducted, or simulations followed by the interpretations of the result could everything could be conducted online, but we have seen that happening. So there is a business model disruption. Education field is one example, but we see it in many other fields like banking uh, or customer delivery. In FMCGs, they have shifted to they have changed and made their supply chain much more robust to serve their customers and interact with their customers online. We have also seen social inequality, how some sections of the society who are not uh, uh, so strong and so well off economically, they are suffering disproportionately higher than comparison to those uh, who have the means to meet their daily needs more comfortably. We are seeing the workforce automation. So a lot of processes are getting automated, and so there is an end-to-end redefinition or end-to-end recrafting of the processes, and as a result of that, we also see different kind of metrics to assess the workplace effectiveness and efficiency, etc. Permanent shift in the consumer preference has also happened. Many of us stopped taking newspapers, and many of us are not going to restart newspapers, and we have realized that uh, many such things which we thought are inevitable can be done online, and our needs, we have shifted to the different forms of media, or we have shifted to different forms of education and interaction and all that. So there is a permanent shift in the consumer preferences and ways of working as well. We all are working, most of us are working from home. So these are the major changes visible. We need to understand the concept from the OD perspective, what we call organizational healing. So on organizational healing, Pauly and Peterit wrote about in 2008, and this is a process of repairing and restoring the social relationships of an organization after any crisis, and COVID is that kind of crisis. This was written, this was being talked about for many decades, but this was formalized and systematized in the writings of Pauly and Pederit in 2008. What is organization healing? They suggest organization healing meaning people people in the organization go through different stages. So first stage is where organizations deploy the resources. Those resources can be internal resources or external resources to contain and minimize the damage. In this stage, the organization need to portray a solidarity with the affected people and take concrete actions to restore the processes. We see that happened in COVID. Quickly, organizations announced their helpline numbers, they upgraded their systems, they upgraded their communication infrastructure. They quickly formed the self-help groups, started conversing about what people are going on and all that, and that was this is the stage one while for meeting any crisis and to move towards healing. Next stage is connection with the other organization entities has to be re-established, and during this integration process some new systems and processes may also emerge. You must have seen in many organizations, in order to carry on their business, they have established the business relationships or informal relationships with other vendors, other kind of service providers. So for example, FMCG industry, a lot of FMCG companies wouldn't have such a close tie-up with the online service providers which we have seen in this crisis. So this is another form, this is the part of the healing process. Organizations have to connect, the people have to connect with each other, and different departments and different subunits have to reconnect with each other, and so that they can leverage and they can help each other. Third stage of the healing is new system integration and remaining organization and the normal operations are restored. We just discussed that many of the new processes and systems will be permanent part of the, or fairly permanent or long-term ways of working of the organizations even when the crisis gets over, and we hope that the vaccine trial of which has already begun will be effective and will be available to all of us in the near future. Organization healing requires four mechanisms, as Pauly and his colleague have suggested. The mechanism includes empathy, intervention, collective effort, and leadership. Empathy is the first and foremost thing. This is about the culture of care, concern, and employee focus that would support the affected employees and thereby healing the social relationships. So that's the first thing, first element of organization healing. Second intervention is direct and indirect steps taken to provide the immediate assistance during a crisis. Then organizations, after recognizing the importance of concern, care, and re-energizing and reminding the organizational members to follow these values and reflect these things in the behavior, the next step is to think about what is to be done. That's a direct and indirect step. What is to be done in terms of the processes, systems, looking at the different measurements of the effectiveness, etc. Third is collective effort. No healing, no organization healing can be done just in the top-down manner. Organization healing requires people in the organization to collaborate and work together, and no healing process is possible without leadership. Organization leaders are the most important factors, the strongest factor to create the desirable climate and culture. And without desirable climate of culture which has care, concern, etc., healing is not possible, and the desired climate and culture cannot be created without leadership, without the active role of leadership. So the four mechanisms of organization healing are empathy, intervention, collective efforts, and leadership. We need to recognize that crisis, or particularly the natural crisis, people have a kind of a set of, people have one special type of response, and that response goes through a cycle. That response generally starts with some heroic effort, means all well-meaning people think whenever they face a crisis that okay, this is it, but we are going to face this challenge and let us invoke hero in us. So there is a heroic response, and so after the threat, after warning, the next step is generally a heroic response, and with that heroic response people also start getting the positive results. They see that they are able to handle some aspects of the crisis, if not the whole crisis. But when this process goes on for a long time, for example, many of you might remember that when this pandemic hit us, many of us thought that probably the response in the form of total lockdown was exaggerated response, or too much of the sincerity, but later on it proved to be the right strategy. But but we also might remember that whenever this crisis hit us, we thought that okay, it's a matter of few months and we can handle it. Some of us also thought that okay, it is very sad for the people who are infected, but we will remain safe. We will follow the instructions, and we will also able to meet the crisis. We will be able to deal with the crisis by behaving in a way which is required, like following the instructions, taking the precautions, working from home. Many of us thought that okay, working from home though the very cause of pandemic is sad, but working from home is an opportunity for us to regain the work-life balance. So that's a heroic response. And but when this phase goes on for a long time, we start getting disillusioned. So disillusionment starts setting in, and that is the time when the role of leadership becomes very important. And what are the interventions we will discuss just a short while from now. After the delusionment, if there is a proper intervention of the leadership, the next step comes, which is working through the grit, working through the grief, using the grit, and then reimagining the constructs, and then and gearing up for the new normal. So generally this is the cycle through which people go through. Companies that have viewed the pandemic as an opportunity to migrate. So there is one example. Some of the companies have looked at this pandemic as an opportunity to migrate to the digital technologies, and some of them have been very successful in that journey. I'll request the NPTEL team to restore the display of the questions in front of my screen. So what are the interventions required? The interventions required, you can start the screen, sir. Excuse me. This screen is off, so you can start this. Thank you. So OD intervention for healing. What are the OD interventions for healing? Some of the OD interventions for healing, organization healing, particularly of the kind of crisis we are facing in the form of COVID-19 crisis. First is administering the antidote to disillusionment, that is the bounded optimism. A naive optimism is not going to work. We need to exercise optimism, we need to embrace the optimism, but that has to be bounded optimism. Like, we need not to be impractical about the optimism. We should not be over optimistic. We should realize that there is a limitation of the time, there is a limitations of the effort. So for example, we all know that vaccine has come, but the bounded optimism is that we need also to recognize that vaccine may not be available next week. It will require at least a month or maybe a couple of months. So that kind of bounded optimism is required to deal with this kind of crisis. So we have to remain optimistic, but we also should not be over optimistic. Second is deep listening, listening to each other. Many organizations have started listening clubs, they have started the healing groups, healing clubs, and they meet occasionally, regularly, and they do not only talk about work, they talk about what people are going through, what they are feeling, what are their challenges, and people share how they are facing challenges, they are facing different challenges, and that's a very important quality. That's a very important intervention in itself, where people listen, they recognize, number one, that they are not the only one in the crisis. Number two, they see the different or multiple ways of handling the crisis, because when they talk about what they are going through and people listen, the listeners also sometimes share what they are doing about that crisis. And secondly, listening is a great gift. So listening itself is a healing process. So that helps people to hear their inner conversation, and also to get advice, and also to recognize that they are not alone. So deep listening is very essential. It is only through deep listening people realize that what is causing trouble, particularly the white collar workers, what is causing trouble is not exactly being bounded, being homebound. What is causing trouble is inability to manage the work and the home boundary. This is the result of a listening process. Good organizations need not to only focus on the deep listening, but good organizations also are engaged into it, and more organizations can do that, is surveying or having the pulse check about the mental health and well-being. So organizations can check in with the people, how they are doing in terms of their psychological well-being, in terms of the subjective well-being, may also share some of the tips, may also share some of the resources, and the conversation clubs, conversation events can be organized. Organizations are organizing these kind of events. People not only talk about what they are going through, they also talk about what they can do, what are the possible ways of enhancing or restoring their well-being. Third type of intervention is about developing the adaptability and resilience skills. We need to understand that whenever there is a crisis in our life, maybe a personal crisis or the organizational crisis, organizations, the people have the choice of restitution, chaos, and quest. These are the three types of narrative generally people rely upon. What is the restitution narrative? Whenever I am in a crisis, the restitution narrative is I keep thinking about how good the days were before this crisis, and we remain stuck in the past, in that point of time when the crisis was not there, and we keep remembering that. Second type of narrative when facing crisis is a chaos narrative, that is deeply or very strongly rooted at present. So I do not look at past, that life was wonderful, but I also do not look at future, that life will again be better off, life will again be on track, and I am so stuck on what I am experiencing all around me at present, and that's why it is called a chaos narrative, because at present we all see chaos, but that is only present. It also has a past and it also has a future. So the third narrative is the quest narrative. When I am facing a crisis, the quest narrative is about thinking what opportunity this crisis present to me, about listening, about learning. What can I learn in this crisis? You might have heard this famous saying that never let any crisis go unused. So that is about looking at what is this situation and what it is inviting me to learn about. That's a quest narrative. And when I when I take the help of quest narrative, I am able to look at what all the possibilities in the future. And whenever people rely on the quest narrative, they emerge as stronger human beings after the crisis. Similarly, you are seeing in many organizations as well, those organizations which have looked at this situation with the quest narrative, many of them have changed their business model, have redefined their work processes, and they are emerging as better off after this crisis. I understand that even only quest narrative is not good enough for the organizations, because if my industry has collapsed, no matter how deep quest narrative I apply, I need to ask people to leave. I will not be able to support large number of employees for a long time without any business. But quest narrative certainly helps to cope up, helps in healing, and helps in reducing the losses, and also helps in emerging from the crisis as a winner, as a victor. Important thing in this time is to make care, connection, and well-being as the foremost important thing. Here, all OD intervention, the most prominent objective of OD intervention in the crisis time is care, connection, well-being. Business targets become secondary in the time of crisis. Last but not the least for today's discussion is unleashing the energy by evolving the organization's operating mode. As we discussed, the organizations which look at the quest narrative, organizations which look at the possibility narrative, also start thinking about the redefining the processes, looking for the technological solutions, looking for the other social, technological, cultural solutions, trying out new things, searching for the innovative ways of doing business, business meaning reaching out to the customer, delivering service to the customers, etc. So That's the last thing, looking at crisis as an opportunity, as a situation to have a fundamental rethinking about our business models. So these are the OD interventions possible at the time of crisis, and for the organization healing. This is something which I thought we must discuss, though it is not part of the course, and the questions may not be asked from this portion which we have just finished today. We discussed about the organization healing. There might not be any question. There might be one or two, but there might not be. As well, but it is important to bring these things and connect what is going on with the OD course which we have gone through. Now I'll take some of the questions which are there in front of my screen. Can books lecture series allowed in the exam hall for the reference? I think please check with the NPTEL team. I don't think books or the lecture, there's not an open book exam, so this will not be allowed. That's a NPTEL rule. You can recheck with the NPTEL team as well. Only multiple choice questions will be there, and along with the videos you have a lot of other material, and that material is helpful for the exam. You will be having 3-hour exam. 50 questions will be there. Each question will have 2 marks. Please think carefully. You have ample time. There is no hurry to rush through the questions, but read the options, read the questions carefully, and choose your options carefully. That will help you to perform in the exam better. I'll request NPTEL team to help in getting the screen back. So if there are no other questions, we can close the session. What do you think, sir? So I have, and the questions are over, so we can close the session. And this session and these slides are anyway available, so you can use these slides. Those who wish to contact me later, they can connect me over LinkedIn. You can go to my LinkedIn profile, send me the connect request, and we can connect over LinkedIn. On the school website, the School of Management IIT Bombay website has my resume as well as the email IDs. So you can get the email IDs from there, and for any OD related queries, you are most welcome to contact. I would like to learn different intervention processes in detail. How to implement these processes? That's a question of Charu. Charu, that's what we have discussed throughout the courses, and what is there in the lectures are fair description about the interventions and how it is implemented. We have looked at many real life incidences. We have looked at many real life cases about the interventions and the application of those interventions. So please have a look at it. Please also look at the supplementary reading material given on the course page. So along with the textbook, there are many other readings being listed in the home page. Please help yourself with those reading materials. You will get more ideas about different interventions and how to implement those interventions. Nonetheless, the text of Worley and Cummins is very elaborate about the intervention. So please read that book. This is the kind of book you may like to read multiple times to get the expertise. We can think about offering more advanced level courses. Maybe this is currently a 20-hour course. Next year we can make it a 30-hour course, and we can add few more lectures, at least 10 hours of material on the in this course. In this course. Uh, Atulji has asked this question: scoring pattern. It's a 50 questions, 2 marks each per question kind of pattern, and there are no negative marking, and all are multiple choice questions. How do intergroup relation process is described in one of the lectures: group level intervention and intergroup level intervention. Please go through that video. You will get enough description about the group relation processes. When the additional topics are added, those will be available freely in the form of YouTube lectures, so you can help yourself with that. There is no negative marking. There is no negative marking for the wrong answers. That's the pattern of the exam. Okay, so thank you very much. Wish you all very best. I hope you will continue this journey and keep learning about the OD intervention. It's a vast field in itself, and this gives all of us a great opportunity to make positive difference to the people, groups and organizations which are all in our surrounding and of which we are part of. So the results will be declared. Please check Manuji with the NPTEL team when the result will be declared. It doesn't take much time because the processes and systems are pretty automated, so it doesn't take long time for results to be announced. So wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Please take good care of yourself and of the people around you. Thank you very much. So here we conclude the session.
दोनों जैसे सबके अंदर
स्टॉप नहीं किया